Welcome! This is edition number 38 of Minidisc Monday, and today I'm able to cover a solo artist here, her second solo album after some years spent with Iceland's own The Sugar Cubes. Of course, I'm talking about Björk, and this is her album on Minidisc, Post.
Stand down. You got to manage. I won't sympathize anymore. And if you complain once more, you may done at me. And if you complain once more, you may done at me. You're alright. There's nothing wrong. Self-sufficient, please.
So her second solo studio album, follow-up from Debut, which was a couple of years before, about 1993 I think that came out. This album originally came out in 95, but this mini disc wasn't released until 1999. Unfortunately, I don't have a copy of Debut, not on mini disc or any other format for that matter. It was one that I was looking for on the aftermarket many years ago when I was fully into mini disc collecting, but I could never quite find it at the right price. But not to worry, I've got this one, and also I've got the third Björk album as well that will get reviewed for this series eventually. But back onto Post, there's some heavy hitters producing and playing on this. Graham Massey from 808 State, Howie B, Nelly Hooper, and the trip-hop artist Tricky, all involved with this album. Before I tell you about the songs on it, let's have a look at everything that you get physically. So the case is actually in pretty nice condition. Here's the booklet, and here's the disc, with almost a childlike depiction of Post Björk there. Turn it over, and we've got the track listing and the catalogue number, no legal stuff. The booklet is very thick and glossy. Of course, that's the cover of the album, and plenty of pages in this, with some unusual images of the idiosyncratic Björk herself. We've got some, I think, acknowledgements in Icelandic there, and then we've got pages of lyrics with Björk logos and other kind of floral designs. Centerfold, more lyrics. One of the thickest booklets for a mini disc album I've encountered. This, there's a fuller image of the cover photo and some production credits at the end, and a bit more on the back. Very nice little package here. But what about the album itself? Well, I wouldn't say that I'm a massive Björk fan. I do own two of her albums on minidisc, as I said. But what do I think of Post? I mean, it was a massive album, and it's had a lot of rave reviews, both at the time and in subsequent years. I think a lot of people consider this one of the best albums of the 90s, if not of all time. I don't really agree with that, but we'll get onto it. Army of Me opens it, great opener, and one of 6 singles to come off this. It samples the famous drum loop from Led Zeppelin, When the Levee Breaks, or as I like to think of it, the Enigma Return to Innocence drums. Really strong opener that. Track 2 is my favourite on the album. It was released as a single, and as far as I'm concerned, from what I've heard of Björk, and I'm not an expert by any stretch, but it's her best work for me, and that's Hyper Ballad. Just a brilliant kind of ambient trip hop, elements of house song, and it just really sort of climaxes at the end. It got in the top 10. I had that CD single back in the day. It was the only Björk release I ever had for many years until I got this and her third album, Homogenic. Wonderful hyper ballad, always loved that, always will. Track 3, The Modern Things, very good again. And then track 4 we get to, of course, It's Oh So Quiet. The cover version of, I can't remember who originally sung it, it was someone in the early 50s, I may put it on screen right now. But it's Björk's attempt at sort of a big band, almost sort of Frank Sinatra type song, and it was a massive hit, particularly here in the UK. It seemed to spend ages just sort of going up and down in the top 10 from what I recall. The video, very memorable, one directed by Spike Jonze. It's good fun, I will say. Not really my sort of music, but it's just kind of like I think it was seen as a novelty song really, at the point of when it was released as a single. But it does kind of feel out of place on the album, to be honest, given that everything else is kind of trippy and sort of surreal and ambient really. But you had to really have It's Oh So Quiet on, especially as it became such a massive hit for Björk all around the world. Track 5 is another great one, Enjoy, and I did enjoy that. Number 6, You've Been Flirting Again. I think that was a relatively short thing, kind of like an interlude. And then another single comes up in track number 7, Isabel. I didn't really remember this. I thought that I was familiar with all 6 singles that came off this, but it was just not very memorable to me. I will have heard it before. And it's a similar situation with the next track, Possibly Maybe. That was a single as well. I think what it is that the versions that were released as singles that I'm more familiar with from my teenage years in the 90s were remixed as singles, so they sound markedly different to the album versions. The album versions don't do an awful lot for me. I think this is where the album's starting to fall down a little bit for me. It's all becoming a bit kind of too sort of quirky for its own good, to be honest. Track 9, I Miss You. There again, it's listenable, it's pleasant, but that's all I can say about it really. Track 10 is another short one, Cover Me, and it ends with the nice, good, but not really massively exciting me headphones. So all in all, Post, it's a mild recommendation from me. There's going to be a lot of people out there who have owned this album for years, who've listened to it, and there'll be people still discovering it today on streaming, etc. I'll say this is an absolute classic of the 90s, and it's Björk's best work, and it really established her as a solo artist and an international superstar, and it did. And I enjoyed my listen to it, particularly the first half of the album, and I'll always love Hyper Ballad and Army of Me, and there's some other really good stuff on here, but just generally the album falls a little bit short for me. But you know, your mileage may vary, as I always say. So Björk and Post is your mini disc for today's Minidisc Monday. Thank you all for watching today. I want to give special thanks, as always, to my wonderful subscribers and generous patrons. I'm going to go now. Please join me again in 2 weeks' time for edition number 39 of Minidisc Monday. Cheers everyone. See ya!